Cold wind of calving, you arrive like a hush before thunder, carrying the breath of broken ice and unspoken grief. You brush my face with the memory of distances, with the taste of oceans that never learned my name. Your fingers are pale, stitched from frost and silence, and every touch unravels a little more of my warmth. You come from places where glaciers dream of falling, where mountains loosen their grip on centuries, where the old white giants sigh and let go. I hear your story in the creak of frozen bones, in the crack that splits the night like a wound. You are the sound of something ending without applause. Cold wind of calving, you know how to speak in echoes, how to turn even fire into a trembling question. You whisper of shelves collapsing in the dark, of blue hearts breaking into black water. Your breath smells of distance and inevitability, of farewells written in the language of ice. I stand on the edge of myself and listen. The world is wide, yet your voice is closer. It presses against my ribs like an old regret, like a letter I never sent, like a door I never closed. You teach me how to leave without walking. Cold wind of calving, you lift the dust of forgotten paths, spin it into small storms around my feet. Every grain is a name I failed to keep, every swirl a promise that melted too soon. You make the sky look tired, you make the sun hesitate. I see you bending the grass into confession, forcing the trees to bow like guilty men. Even the birds rewrite their songs for you, shorten their sentences, lower their voices. You are a master of quiet endings, a composer of unfinished hymns. Cold wind of calving, you bring the smell of deep water, the cold blue breath of hidden depths. I imagine the ice breaking, slow and solemn, like a cathedral collapsing in prayer. No one claps, no one screams, only the sea opens its arms. You tell me that everything eventually lets go, that even the strongest hands forget their strength. You say it gently like a mercy, like a truth that does not want to hurt. Yet your words carry weight, and they sit heavy on my chest. Cold wind of calving, you comb through my hair, as if searching for something you lost. You pause at my temples, linger at my eyes, as though you expect to find your own reflection there. Maybe you do. Maybe we are not so different. I too have broken from the shelves of who I was. I too have fallen into unknown water. I too have watched parts of myself drift away, small white pieces, silent and distant. No one marked the moment. No one called it a disaster. Cold wind of calving, you know the art of quiet ruin. You do not shout, you do not threaten. You simply arrive and things begin to loosen. Ties grow thin, grips grow weak, and suddenly the impossible becomes easy. Suddenly, letting go feels natural. You slide through the cracks in my thoughts, cooling the fever of old hopes. Dreams shiver when you pass, curl into themselves like frightened animals. Even memory pulls its coat tighter. Even longing forgets how to burn. Cold wind of calving, you are a teacher of patience. You show how waiting can be a kind of breaking, how standing still can still be a fall. The ice does not rush, you say. It listens, it endures, and then one day it leaves. I wonder if love is like that, slow and heavy and pretending to be forever. I wonder if hearts have shelves too, thick with years and promises. I wonder if one quiet crack is all it takes. Cold wind of calving, you pass through empty rooms, and the curtains lean toward you like tired friends. You lift old letters from the table, turn their corners into soft wings. You read what I never could, then carry it away. The night grows larger when you arrive. Stars seem farther, lonelier. The moon looks like a broken plate, chipped by your cold fingers. Even shadows lose their confidence. Even darkness feels exposed. Cold wind of calving, you make me think of distance, of the long way between now and then. You stretch time, like thin ice, make every step sound dangerous. I walk carefully through my own thoughts, afraid of what might give way. You bring the language of the poles, short, sharp, and unforgiving. You cut sentences in half. You freeze questions before they finish. Your grammar is simple: begin, endure, break. Cold wind of calving, you sit beside me in silence. Not as a guest, not as a threat, but as something that has always been there. You watch my breath like a small cloud, measure its warmth. Wait, I feel you in the hollow of my throat, in the pause before every word. You are the reason my voice hesitates, the reason my courage wears thin. You do not push, you let gravity do the work. Cold wind of calving, you carry the stories of ice, of blue veins and ancient pressure. You hum of winters that never ended, of summers that never arrived. Your songs have no chorus, only long, lonely verses. I try to answer you with fire, with memories of heat and laughter, but you smile in your cold way, and the flames learn to bow. Even hope lowers its eyes, even faith pulls its hands back. Cold wind of calving, you make departure look holy. You dress it in white and quiet. You make it seem like rest, like release, like peace. It is hard to argue with you. It is hard to stay. I watch the horizon lean when you pass, as if the world is tired of standing straight. Mountains seem less certain, roads less loyal. Everything begins to practice goodbye. Everything rehearses absence. Cold wind of calving, you are the breath of endings, the cool exhale of the universe. You remind me that nothing is owed forever, that even the strongest must surrender. You do not apologize. You simply arrive, and I, standing in your path, learn the shape of quiet courage. I learn how to be small without shame, how to be fragile without fear. I let your cold pass through me, and I do not break. Not yet. Cold wind of calving, you move on, toward other shelves, other hearts. You leave behind a silence that hums, a chill that lingers like a thought. I wrap myself in what remains of warmth, and watch you go. You will return, I know. You always do. But for now, the air is still, and I am still here, listening to the echo of your leaving, learning how to breathe again. Cold wind of calving, you circle the edges of my thoughts, like a patient hunter made of frost and time. You do not rush your work, you do not raise your voice. You let the world undo itself in your presence. I feel you in the loosening of old beliefs, in the soft collapse of stubborn dreams. You walk through memories as if they are thin ice, testing each step with invisible feet. Some hold, some crack, some disappear without a sound. You never look back. You never mourn. You trust the water to remember. Cold wind of calving, you taste of unfinished prayers, of promises that grew tired of waiting. Your breath carries the salt of distant tears, the iron of quiet despair. You know every language of loss. You speak them fluently. I see you in the way people drift apart, slow, polite, pretending nothing is wrong. In the way hands find excuses to let go. In the way eyes learn to look elsewhere. You are there, invisible and loyal, cooling what once burned. Cold wind of calving, you lean against my back, and suddenly standing feels like work. My shoulders remember weight they cannot name. My spine remembers storms it never saw. You make fatigue feel ancient, like a family inheritance. You teach the walls how to listen, the floors how to creak with meaning. Even the clock ticks differently when you are near, each second heavier than the last. Time itself seems to shiver, unsure of its own direction. Cold wind of calving, you brush the river's face, and it forgets how to smile. Ripples flatten, currents slow, as if the water is holding its breath. Even motion grows cautious. Even flow learns fear. I wonder how many goodbyes you have witnessed, how many last looks, how many silent waves. Do you collect them like trophies? Do you remember their names? Or are they all the same to you? Small drops in an endless cold sea? Cold wind of calving, you make the horizon pale, like a face drained of blood. Colors retreat when you arrive. Blues deepen, whites sharpen, and everything else fades. You repaint the world in restraint. I try to build warmth from old stories, from laughter that once filled rooms. But you slip between the lines, cooling every punchline, every smile. Even joy feels borrowed. Even happiness pays rent. Cold wind of calving, you sit in empty chairs, occupy spaces no one notices. You are in the pause between two heartbeats, in the breath someone forgets to take. You hide in normal moments, and make them fragile. You know the weakness of every bond, the thin place in every promise. You press there gently, patiently, until something gives. You never force. You simply wait. Cold wind of calving, you are the art of erosion, the quiet science of undoing. You do not need storms, you do not need drama. You work with minutes, with hours, with years. You carve absence into everything. You are very thorough. I feel you in the way my name sounds different, in the way my reflection avoids my eyes. You change small things first, so no one suspects. By the time we notice, half of us is already gone. Cold wind of calving, you teach distance to grow. You stretch space between two people, until it becomes an ocean. You make silence feel natural, make loneliness feel earned. You normalize the empty. You pass through the city at dawn, when even noise is half asleep. Streetlights bow to you, windows fog in respect. The world gives you room. The world knows you. Cold wind of calving, you carry the perfume of endings. Subtle, bitter, unforgettable. Once you smell it, you can't forget. It lingers in clothes, in skin, in dreams. Even after you leave, you stay. I watch people pretend to be strong in you, pulling coats tighter, lifting chins higher. But you see through fabric and posture. You touch the bone, you touch the truth, you touch what cannot hide. Cold wind of calving, you are honest without kindness. You are fair without mercy. You do not choose favorites. You do not negotiate. You treat kings and beggars the same. You treat hearts and mountains the same. You move through love like a slow question, testing its answers. Some fail quickly, some hold a while. But even the strongest eventually whisper, "I am tired," and you listen. Cold wind of calving, you know the sound of surrender. It is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is a small, soft sound, like ice loosening in the dark, like a breath finally leaving. I sit with you in long nights, counting the spaces between thoughts. You make even company feel distant. You make even closeness feel temporary. Nothing feels secure in your presence.
Nothing feels permanent.
Cold wind of calving, you are the reminder we avoid, the truth we cover with noise. You peel back our distractions, show us the thinness of our walls. You show us how near the edge is. You show us how near the fall is. You glide over fields like a pale hand, flattening what dares to stand tall. Pride bows to you. Confidence lowers its eyes. You do not shout. You do not need to. Cold wind of calving, you speak to the broken first. They recognize you. They open their doors. They know your language. To them, you are not a stranger. To them, you are familiar. I see you in the way hope hesitates, in the way faith checks the sky. You make belief cautious. You make trust tired. Even miracles would think twice in you. Even miracles would shiver. Cold wind of calving, you are the long goodbye, the farewell that starts before anyone notices. You begin in small disappointments, in tiny silences, in missed chances. By the time we realize, we are already alone. You leave fingerprints on glass, frost signatures no one can read. But I know them. I know your work. I have seen your art on my own life. I have felt your hand. Cold wind of calving, you are the patience of loss. You do not rush grief. You let it bloom slowly. Let it settle into bones. Let it become a posture. You make sadness sustainable. I wonder if you ever get tired, if endless endings weigh on you, if carrying so many goodbyes ever hurts. But you do not answer. You only move. You only continue. Cold wind of calving, you are the breath before collapse, the hush before the great break. You stand on the edge with us, quiet, respectful, watching. You never push. You let gravity finish. And still, somehow, I find myself waiting for you, listening for your steps in the dark. Because even in your cold, there is honesty. Even in your cruelty, there is truth. Cold wind of calving, you do not lie. You do not pretend. You do not promise what you cannot keep. You say, "This will end." And you are right. You are always right. Cold wind of calving, you arrive before the thought of you, a premonition in the marrow, a shiver in the soul. You do not knock. You do not announce. You simply appear, and everything rearranges itself around your cold. You lean against doors that were never locked, and suddenly they feel heavy. You stand in hallways that were once bright, and shadows grow longer in respect. You have a way of changing geometry, of bending space toward absence. Cold wind of calving, you trace old scars with new fingers, and they remember how to hurt. You wake sleeping grief. You stir quiet regrets. You never create pain. You only uncover it. You know where it is buried. You walk through laughter and it thins, like fabric worn too often. You pass through celebrations and they soften, their edges losing confidence. You are the reason joy checks itself, the reason happiness whispers. Cold wind of calving, you make courage feel temporary, like a coat borrowed for one season. Bravery shrinks in your presence, folds itself smaller. Even heroes would lower their voices for you. Even legends would feel human. You speak in the language of inevitability, a dialect no one argues with. You say, "This will change," and it does. You say, "This will end," and it listens. Cold wind of calving, you have the patience of centuries. You are never in a hurry. You can wait while mountains age, while rivers forget their paths. Time works for you. Time is on your side. I feel you in the quiet after arguments, in the space where apologies should be. You stretch that space, make it wide and uncomfortable. You teach silence how to stay. You teach distance how to grow. Cold wind of calving, you slip into relationships unnoticed, sit between two people like an uninvited guest. You do not speak, yet the room changes. Words lose their warmth. Touch loses its meaning. You are the chill in "I'm fine," the frost in "nothing's wrong." You are the cold behind polite smiles, the winter behind small talk. You live in the unsaid. You thrive in the avoided. Cold wind of calving, you have no face, yet everyone recognizes you. You have no name, yet every heart knows your sound. You are the draft under the door of life, the proof that something is open, something is leaving. You move through dreams and turn them pale, drain their colors, shorten their wings. Even sleep feels lighter when you pass, as if rest itself is unsure, as if peace is temporary. Cold wind of calving, you know how to humble the proud, how to quiet the loud, how to slow the fast. You do not argue. You do not compete. You simply outlast. You have seen empires thin and crack, seen crowns rust in invisible hands. You have watched great things become small, watched certainties become questions. You never laughed. You never cried. You just stayed. Cold wind of calving, you turn strength into memory. You turn always into once. You turn forever into a soft joke. You make promises nervous. You make vows cautious. You teach commitment how to hesitate. I see you in the way people look at old photos, smiling with a shadow behind their eyes. You are in that shadow. You are in the gap between then and now. You live in nostalgia. You feed on used to be. Cold wind of calving, you are the season that has no holidays, no songs, no decorations. You are the quiet time no one celebrates, the long stretch between hope and acceptance, the waiting room of the heart, the corridor of endings. You walk beside me when I pretend to be strong, and I can feel your smile. You know the difference between courage and distraction. You know when I am only busy. You know when I am only surviving. You know when I am tired. Cold wind of calving, you teach the body to listen, to feel small changes in the air. You train the skin to recognize loss before the mind does. You arrive first in goosebumps, first in shivers, first in unease. By the time I understand, you are already inside. You pass through crowds untouched, yet everyone feels you. You do not need permission. You do not need attention. You are powerful in your invisibility. You are strong in your subtlety. Cold wind of calving, you are the rehearsal for grief, the practice round of heartbreak. You prepare us quietly, lower our expectations, soften our attachments. You make loss less shocking. You make it feel earned. I sit by windows and watch the world with you, and everything looks temporary. Cars pass like thoughts, people pass like seasons. Nothing feels anchored, nothing feels fixed. Cold wind of calving, you make permanence feel foolish, like a child's promise. You make stability look brave, like an act of rebellion. You make holding on seem heroic. You make letting go seem wise. You are persuasive without words. You are convincing without arguments. You are logic in the form of air. Cold wind of calving, you do not need to destroy, because you know everything is already leaning. You only have to touch. You only have to breathe. You only have to be, and things begin to fall. You sit in the future and whisper to the present, and the present gets nervous. You remind today of tomorrow, and today loses its confidence. You make now feel small. You make later feel large. Cold wind of calving, you are the echo of endings, the aftertaste of goodbyes. Even when you are gone, you leave a shape. Even when you are silent, you are loud. I feel you in the way my heart braces, in the way my hopes flinch. I feel you in the pause before joy, in the doubt after laughter. You have trained me well. You have taught me caution. Cold wind of calving, you are the reason I say maybe instead of always. You are the reason I say for now instead of forever. You have changed my vocabulary. You have edited my faith. You have rewritten my expectations. You move through faith like a thin crack, not enough to break it, just enough to weaken it. You let belief stand, but never rest. You let hope breathe, but never sleep. Cold wind of calving, you have a gentle cruelty, polite ruthlessness. You do not tear. You loosen. You do not shatter. You separate. You are the master of slow endings. I wonder if the ice knows you before it breaks, if it feels you coming, if there is a moment when the shelf thinks, not yet, and you answer, soon. Cold wind of calving, you are the soon of the universe, the quiet promise that nothing escapes, the soft assurance that everything changes, the patient guarantee that all things pass. You are time's breath, you are fate's whisper, and I, standing in you, learning your cold grammar, learning your silent lessons, begin to understand. Not everything is meant to be held. Not everything is meant to stay. Some things are only meant to break beautifully and fall without sound and disappear into deep, dark water. Cold wind of calving, you have taught me that.